Hello everyone. So let us pick up from where we left off last time. So in the last video, we started building this snippet details page. So we implemented the share functionality. We brought in these pills at the top, which tells you which SDK, Maui or Xamarin it is built using. And we also brought in the number of GitHub stars. And we brought in a big image, the snippet image, the one with the phone frame that we built in one of the previous videos, and we use that to display the hero image or the main image. And then at the bottom we left a placeholder, and this is the place where we are going to bring in all the other details of the snippet. So for this, let us go back to our snippet details page, and what we are going to do, so we have got, let's minimize this, perhaps we can minimize some of the information. So what we want to do is, in this last row, row number 3 or row number 4, if you're talking about non-zero indexing, so we want to bring in the actual content, and for this we will be using, so let's bring in, let's call it snippet details, and it opened up everything. Let's do that. Let's close everything so that we have the small environment to work with. So here what we are going to do, we are going to bring in a scroll view. So we will put everything inside a scroll view. So for this scroll view, I'm going to give it a few properties. Let me just bring in a few properties. I'm going to give it a name, which is snippet info section. I'm going to put it in row number 3, taking up the whole space. I don't want to show any scroll bars either vertically or horizontally, and I'm going to give it a margin of around 16 points from either left and right. Inside this, what we are going to have is, we are going to put everything in a vertical stack layout because we want everything to scroll down, and we can define some properties for this, filling up the whole space starting at the top and giving the spacing between items of 8 points. Now in this vertical scroll layout, vertical stack layout is where we will put all the information. Now one of the things you will notice, let's start with the operating system support or the mobile OS support. If we go to our app models and we look at the snippet, we have got 3 properties, which is contains Android sample or contains iOS sample or contains UWP sample. So we are going to start displaying this over here. So for this, I am going to be using a horizontal stack layout, and what we will do, we will just put in 3 images. Let me just bring it over here. So it's a horizontal stack layout, putting in 3 images, which is Apple image, Android image, and Windows image. And the only thing I'm doing, I'm only showing them if, for example, for this UWP, this Windows image, only if it contains a UWP sample, then I'm displaying this. Otherwise I'm not displaying. Similarly, same for Android as well as for iOS. So with this, let us run this and let's have a look how this looks like. So let the application run and load. So if we click on this, so this only supports Apple and Android samples. It only contains Apple and Android samples. Let's pick up something which have maybe more. This is also Android and Apple. Maybe this to-do app. This only has the Android sample. WhatsApp UI clone, again the same. Anything having Windows sample. Let's have a look quickly. Let's sort it by popular. Maybe the Xamarin UI Essential Kit. Yes, this has a Windows sample as well. So this is the functionality we have. Now another thing I'm going to bring in, below that, I'm going to bring in the author name. In the last video, we already worked on bringing in the author name in our snippet. So I'm just going to put in as a label, displaying the full name, and I'm going to display the author name as, in big font style. Below that, what we want to do, we want to put in the description in the label. Now, for the description, one of the things that I noticed is that some of the snippets have HTML tags in it, which means you will start seeing, for example, if there are any hyperlinks, you will start seeing the hyperlinks and it will not look very nice. So what we can do is, one thing at the label level, we can change the text style to HTML and that will format it properly. But one of the problems I notice with that, I do not have much flexibility in styling the font and the colors and so on. So for this, what I decided to do, I decided to clean the description which is coming and remove all the HTML tags. For this, what we can do, we can go to our framework, and because this is something which we can reuse again and again. So in my string extensions, I can simply create a new extension method to strip the HTML content out of the string. So just a simple method, strip HTML, which takes some input, and then using the regex, it removes all these less than and less than and greater than symbols, and it just replaces it with empty string. So that's all I'm doing with this. Now I can go back to my app model. Let's close this one and we go back to our app models, and at the snippet level I can go and I can create a new property. I can create it as a string and call it say clean description without HTMLs, and this is just going to have a getter, and this is going to be description dot strip HTML. This is the method that we created. So now it will give me the clean description. And if I go back over here, now what I can do, I can bring in the description as a label. So let's bring in the description as a label, and I'm binding it to the clean description, and I'm line break mode, I'm setting it to word wrap so that it shows all the different lines. So let's run this and see this in action. For example, if I go to the Essential UI Kit, so now you can see this is the author and this is the description. If I go to something different, maybe Spotify clone, so this is created by Steven and this is the description. Some of the places, let's actually go and find out where we have some URLs. So you can see over here, I have cleaned it and it is just displaying the URL without the anchor tags. And the only problem with this approach is that it is not clickable. So this is what we have done. Now below that, what we want to do, let me close this and let me show you in the already completed application. We also want to display the categories that a snippet belongs to. So you recall a snippet can belong to one of the around 18 or 20 different categories. So if I go to essentials, this one belongs to about category, articles category, error, profiles, signups, and so on. If I go to something else, let's say this one, WhatsApp, a UI clone, it only belongs to 4 different categories: friends, lists, messages, and so on. So this is what we want to now implement. For this, what I'm going to do, let's actually go ahead and put in categories. This is where we are going to define our categories. And for the categories, I'm going to be using a flex layout, because you noticed I want it to be, let's go back here. So I want them to be displayed and wrap around rows, and also let them be centered. So if I go to this one, which has a lot more, so you can see it is properly spacing it. Depending on how much space it has, we can use a flex layout for that. So for the flex layout, I can say horizontal options is, I will use the centering, I will use it to wrap, and I will justify the content to space evenly. And for the item source, I'm going to be using the bindable layout. So bindable layout dot item source, and this I'm going to be binding to the snippet dot we have got the categories. Let me bring it a little bit up so that you can see and I will say mode is equal to one way. So this is our flex layout, and we now need to define an item template for that. So bindable layout dot item template, and this is going to be a data template. And for this data template, we are going to be using data type so that we can use excuse me, compile time bindings. So I will say for my models, this is coming as app category. So this is my data template. If we go to our models, so you can see each snippet has a list of categories which is of type app category. Just to make sure that I have not misspelled it, this is correct. And did I define my models over here? I have not defined the models, that's why it is complaining. So let's bring in our models, XML ns, call it models equals to model snippet app dot models. So perfect, it has stopped complaining. And in this, what I'm going to do, I'm simply going to be putting a border control. So let's simply put in a border control, and this border control is having a background color of dark. I'm setting the height to 26 points. Stroke is the light border color, and I'm giving it rounded radius of around 8 points, and I'm putting a padding inside so that it is 20 pixels or 20 points on either side. And inside, I'm just displaying it inside a label, the actual text, which is the category field which is coming in. So let's actually see this in action now and see how this looks. So if I now go inside my Syncfusion, you can see we have got all these different categories. If I go to WhatsApp UI clone, this has only 4 categories. If I go to say .NET MAUI and maybe click on Maui planets, this only has 1. If I go to tube player, this has 3. So it displays all this information, and if the content is more, it will also scroll. So right now it does not have much content, so it is not scrolling. Let's try with this one. Again, not enough content for it to scroll, but if you have more content, it will scroll. So let's go back over here, and once we are done with the categories, what we are going to do, we are going to bring in a button to go to our GitHub page. So GitHub page button, and this is going to be something very simple and straightforward, nothing fancy about it, just a plain button with some formatting. I'm just going to bring in a simple button with a rounded radius, and for the text color I'm using the dark text color, but for the background I'm using the built with property, which is either the Xamarin or Maui, to determine what color this button has to use. And I'm using the start color converter, which will be dark purplish for Maui and dark peach for Xamarin. And it is going to this visit GitHub page command on the view model. So we need to create this. Let me actually go ahead and copy. Right now this relay command is not defined. I'm going to go to my view models, snippet details page, view model, and I'm going to create a new relay command. Private async task. So this is the function that we have created. And in this, all I'm going to do, I'm going to use the browser, which earlier used to be part of the Xamarin Essentials. Now it has been brought in into .NET MAUI itself. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use this browser.openasync, and this is the URL that I'm going to navigate to, https github.com/ the actual GitHub URI. And I'm going to use new browser launch options, and I'm going to use the system preferred, and I'm also going to show the browser title. So with this, let us actually run this, and we will have a nice GitHub button, which when clicked will take us or open up the GitHub URL page. So if I go to Syncfusion, now you can see I can scroll down and we have got the view on GitHub button, and this is in dark peach color. If I click on this, it will open up the GitHub page for this repo. If I go to something else, let us say Netflix clone, if I click on view on GitHub, it will take us to this repo. And if I go to any Maui related, let's say this one, it will show you in the purple color. Clicking on it will take you to the actual repo page. So this is it for this video. Now in the next couple of videos, what I am planning to do below this, one of the things we want to do is bring in the list of other images which have been posted as part of this snippet. Let me show it to you as part of the other running application. So you can see over here for this essential UI kit, there are a lot more other images which have been provided. So we are going to bring in these images. The other thing we are going to do is implement this parallax view. So you can see as I scroll up and down, it keeps on resizing itself. So this is the parallax view or parallax effect we are going to work on. And lastly, we are going to be working on the image page. So if I click on any of the image, it will open up this image, and then using my pinch to zoom, I can even zoom into that. So this one is, perhaps this one is better. Okay, so this is all web-based images, so not looking very nice. Let's try with this one perhaps. Let's try this. Yeah, so you can see it in bigger screen, and now if you want, you can zoom in on that as well. So this is what we will be implementing. And with that, we will be completing the series once we have done both of these. And if the time permits, we will also show you, or I'll show you rather, a couple of other small things. At the moment, you can see this is looking very nice. This is showing you in the dark color. That is because my mobile theme is set to light. But what if you change your theme to dark? You will notice that this will turn to white and you will not be able to see that. So we will also fix that. And another thing is, right now I'm using it on iPhone 14 non-pro simulators, which does not have the dynamic island pill. The moment you run it on iPhone 14 Pro or iPhone 14 Pro Max, which has the dynamic island, you will notice that some of this content will start getting behind that pill. So right now there is no out-of-the-box support in .NET MAUI for that, but I have figured out a way. So I will also be showing that to you in the next couple of videos. So that's it for this week. Stay tuned. Hopefully in the next couple of days, I'll be dropping in the remaining of the videos, and then we will be completing the series. Thank you very much.